Hey! Hey guys, it's Sarah. So yeah, I haven't posted in about a week. I'll admit, I've missed you guys and I've missed this channel. And even though it's been about a week, it's felt like freaking a year. Like, it's so weird. There hasn't been a ton of stuff happening in the fandom, but at the same time there has. Like, obviously stuff has been happening, but it's the same old bullshit. Okay, so first I'd like to talk about that Skype video that fan did with Harry. So this girl's from Venezuela and she's part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And she got the opportunity to have a 35-minute video chat call with Harry Styles. Fucking lucky. But she said that she got scared, so she just asked if Larry was real. And she got a lot of hate for asking that because people are like, oh, why would you ask if Larry was real in a twit cam? But there's no reason anybody should be antagonizing this girl, number one. But anyway, her first question was, is Larry real? And then Harry, okay, normally like someone would just like deny it right there or whatever, but Harry blushes, and not only that, he smiles, and then he just says no. Now there's no video of this, so I can't watch it, I can't analyze it, I'm just going off from what she said. I doubt she would lie. And she also asked Harry, oh, like, who are you closest to in the band? And Harry said Niall, because him and Niall go golfing a lot. And I know this is typical for a Larry shipper to say, but just hear me out. Do you really think that Harry would have come out on a Skype call in front of everybody? Also, Harry knew that this Skype call would be going public. He knew it would be going online. So Harry's smarter than that. He's like, you know what? This Skype thing's probably going up online. The girl's probably gonna share it with her friends. Why would I say, oh yeah, Larry's real. This is my chance to come out on Skype. I've always wanted to come out this way. No, if anything, Harry's not going to say yes to, is Larry real? So even though I'm not gonna hate on this girl for saying that, all I'm saying is that she probably shouldn't have even asked the question, because you know you're not gonna get an answer yes. Like, if you ask Louis and Harry, is Larry real, in that kind of setting, they're going to say no. But it's funny because Harry blushed and smiled. Like, who does that? But anyway, as you all know, I talked to her personally and she wanted to do a collab with me on my channel, but she lives way too far away. So what I did is I sent her 5 questions about the whole video chat, sent it to her, and she's going to try to make a video so she can start a YouTube channel. So it was really cool talking to somebody who talked to Harry Styles. Like, I feel that much closer to Harry. But the girl's very sweet, so do not send her hate. But here's the funniest part, and we all expected this. After Harry blushed and smiled and said no, so many news articles came out exaggerating the whole situation. So this news article says, Harry Styles tells One Direction fan Larry isn't real, it never was, and Louis Tomlinson too busy being a dad. Now hold up. So okay, there was no video evidence of this whole video chat. We're only going off of what the girl said. So the fact that these articles are making up this bullshit that Harry said, Larry isn't real, it never was, that is bullshit. He never said that. He blushed and smiled and just said no. Harry can't lie for shit, but these articles know how to lie. But I'm just laughing at the irony because the article that posted this is called Unreality TV, and that should just say it right there. I just can't deal with media bullshit anymore. Like, we're already dealing with this Louis and baby thing, and I really don't want articles to talk about Harry like this. But that's what the media does. They put words into people's mouths. Like, they want Larry to be fake so bad, and they just want to convince everybody that Larry's fake and not a thing. Okay, now on to Louis and his selfies. So people have been making observations that every time Louis posts a selfie, something bad happens the next day, or not necessarily bad, but just something to do with Publicity or FREDDIE. At first, I thought this was just speculation, but it's true. Every time Louis posts a selfie and it looks like a sad selfie, there's a baby the next day, like he's out with FREDDIE. I mean, people can keep saying coincidence, but it's been happening many times. So there was a couple recent selfies of Louis, and in both of them, I'm not gonna say he's sad. Maybe he's just pulling a serious face, but whenever I look at pictures of Louis, they just look odd. And then of course, the next day we see Louis out with FREDDIE. And now maybe this is besides the point, and I don't mean to be all gender stereotypical, but usually the baby is with the mother. Like, wouldn't you think that Brianna would be out with the baby more than Louis? Because scientifically, babies are more connected to their mothers. So you would think that FREDDIE would be out with Brianna and less with Louis. And plus, Louis's been working for 6 years straight. He's tired. Like, you'd think that Louis would want to spend his break as a break. And it's legit Brianna's baby. Like, yeah, obviously fathers can spend time with their babies, but I'm just saying, saying I never see Brianna out pushing the baby stroller. But anyway, these pictures of Louis surfaced, and the only thing I actually liked about the picture was Louis' blue hat. Now there's two sides. Some people say that Louis looks miserable because he's out with the baby, and it looks like Louis is shielding the baby's eyes from the sun by just putting his hand there, and it just looks like Louis doesn't give a fuck. But then we have other people saying that Louis only looks like that because he's being papped, which I can understand two sides. I think it's a little bit of both. I think Louis looks a little pissed because of the paps in his business and the fact that Louis has all this responsibility on him for having a baby. I don't think this is what he wanted, by the way. But here's what I'll say, regardless if Freddie is Louis or not, he should still be taking care of that baby and loving it. Because regardless of whether a baby is yours, you should still be caring for it and treating it right. So at this point, I don't even care if the baby is Louis, I just care about Louis' happiness. People are mentioning that Louis is looking a lot thinner, he looks pissed off in every photo, and he's just not how he was before. This should be a break. And yes, you guessed it, I'm going to bring Larry into this, but you cannot deny the facts. Whenever I see Louis with Harry, he looks just genuinely happy. You don't even have to be a Larry shipper to notice that someone looks happy. When Louis is just involved with Danielle or Brianna or this baby or just any paparazzi bullshit, he just looks like he doesn't even want to be there. Like for real, look at pictures with Louis and Harry together and then look at Louis with these pictures. Huge difference. Also, a lot of people are just getting fed up with this because they're just really confused. Nothing adds up. And here's one reason. So with Brianna, in this one picture you can see that her eyes are brown. In this other picture, it was more recent, her eyes are blue. And then here's a picture of quote unquote Freddie and his eyes are brown. And then this person tweets, does Freddie have blue eyes? And then Liv says, the most beautiful blue you've ever seen. Now I'm sorry, I think I should know this by now. Is Olivia like Brianna's friend or cousin? I mean, I think it's someone she hangs out with like that knows her. So that's weird. She said that Freddie has blue eyes, but clearly in this photo, Freddie has brown eyes. And I know people's eyes change, but nobody's eyes change that quickly. But anyway, we got even more pictures of Louis out yesterday in LA and he was with a fan. Louis is rocking the denim jacket. And to be honest, he looks more happy. And like, as I said, it doesn't matter if Freddie is Louis or not. I don't want Louis to look miserable around a baby because a baby doesn't deserve that. But when Louis was out with that fan and just by himself, he literally looked more happy. And there was paps around because that's how we got these pictures. So people can't always use the excuse of, oh, Louis in front of paps. You know how many times that Louis been with Harry in front of paps and he looks so happy? It's not always the paps, it's who you're with and what situation is involved. Also, speaking of Harry, in Louis' selfie, people were saying that it looks like he's wearing Harry's rings. Now it's kind of hard to tell because the picture's black and white and it's kind of low quality and grainy. And also Louis could just have his own rings, but have you guys ever seen Louis wear rings? Like that's Harry's thing. Harry wears those like gaudy, kind of thicker rings. But also guys, they could be photoshopped because I think this might not be an original photo. I think I saw the original photo which was much darker and I don't think I saw rings on his fingers, so this could be photoshopped. Also, speaking of Photoshop and lighting, someone mentioned that Freddie might have his ears pierced. Some people think it's just the lighting. They said Freddie has his ears pierced. It looks like there might be a little yellow butterfly. So when I look at the picture, it kind of looks like he has a piercing. At first I thought it was the lighting. Someone could have photoshopped that on. And again, not to be gender stereotypical, but would they put a yellow butterfly earring on a baby boy? I mean, I'm not hating on it. It's fine if they did, but I'm just kind of speculating. I know a lot of parents do pierce their baby's ears, but I guess that's the least of our worries anyway. And as I said, I don't really care if this baby is fake or real. Like, I know it's a real baby, but I don't really care whether it's Louis anymore or not. I just care about his health, his sanity, and his happiness. And I know that I analyze a lot, but some people really go overboard with the analyzing. I mean, this is a baby we're talking about. Because there was this picture of Lottie and Freddie, and as you can see, Freddie is sleeping. And basically someone went in and drew a lot of stuff, circling and labeling and just pointing out things. And they said he has a weird wrist, he has red hair, he has a weird arm, and there's weird light. I mean, it's okay to analyze and point out things that look a little shady, but I don't think we need to do it to every picture, because if someone didn't point this out, I wouldn't even think something was photoshopped. And guys, this is where we start to get a bad reputation, because people do point out all Larrys and generalize all of us and say that we overanalyze everything. Like, how I look at it is you can still think Larry's real without having to analyze every photo and say it's fake. But not only am I feeling a little bad for Louis and all this stunting, but I feel bad for Harry as well. Like, he's really not being shown in the media right now, but he's being talked about a lot in articles. So not only are articles saying that Harry said Larry isn't real and it never was, but they're saying things like proof that Harry Styles may have lost Kendall Jenner for good. And then in Inquisitor article that says, is Harry Styles a womanizer? Zayn Malik says no, and Niall Horan says yes. Now here's why that headliner is bullshit. When has the media actually talked face to face with Niall and asked him about that? Do you really think that if someone asked Niall Horan if Harry is a womanizer, do you think he would say yes? Like, even saying yes to that, that's just so offensive. Like, Harry is Niall's best friend, and for him to agree that Harry Styles is that disgusting label, he wouldn't be much of a friend. And Zayn isn't even in the band anymore, so why would Zayn even have an opinion? Like, I know Zayn would say no, he has in the past, but they're just making up bullshit. Harry shows no proof of even being a womanizer anymore. Like, I can admit in the past, maybe, but he still was never a womanizer. The media just portrayed him that way just because he might have been a ladies' man. But articles, even in 2016, are still coming out with that crap. And I know I was only mentioning Harry in these articles, but no, Louis even being mentioned in articles too. It says, sure, Louis is dating Danielle Campbell, but according to a bunch of British tabloids, not the most reliable sources we know, it's an open relationship, and Louis is allowed to snog and shag whomever he fancies. So to the media, it's not enough to just have Louis stunt with these women and make him go on these entourages with them in public. But no, you have to say that he's also allowed to shag and snog anybody else. So now they're making Louis also have this womanizing role as well. And you guessed it, another Inquisitor article. It says, is Louis Tomlinson still sleeping with Freddie's mom, Brianna Jungwirth? I like how they said still sleeping because they really never slept together. I thought it was confirmed even by the media that Louis and Brianna weren't actually a thing, they just had a baby together. Because what the media was telling us before was that Louis and Brianna never dated, they weren't a thing, they just had a baby together. Or just like Louis knocked her up at a club or something. So I think the reason why Louis always looks miserable in interviews when he's asked about the baby is because I don't think he was ever ready to do this. I think he actually regrets doing this. There's tons of guys who knock up a chick and then she gets pregnant by accident and they didn't mean to, and now they have the responsibility of this kid and the custody over him for like the rest of their life, and they never planned for it to be that way. So what if this whole baby thing was just an accident and now Louis has to take accountability for his actions? So even though Louis looks miserable because he just kind of regrets it, he still has to treat the child like his own. So that's one theory that does make sense, but at the same time, we still don't know if this baby is actually Louis'. Like, did he get a paternity test? Like, maybe Louis doesn't feel like he should actually outwardly tell us that Freddie is his because he's probably thinking, isn't it obvious by now? I just think this thing's been going on way too long that I'm just starting really not to care. I believe in Larry so much. I've seen so many things. It's to the point where I don't care if Louis is this father. I just want Louis to get his shit together and look happy again. And I hope that Harry is helping him out. I hope that they're not fighting. Also, we have to stop getting these clickbait articles too. Like, there was this YouTube video that says, Harry Styles says Larry isn't real. Ariana Grande slams sexist fan. But guess what? When you watch the video, it has nothing to do with Larry or what Harry said. It has to do with Ariana and the sexist fan. So the fact that they even put that whole Larry thing in the title, but the video has nothing to do with that, they want Larry to be known. The media is really contradicting themselves. If they didn't want people to believe in Larry, why do you keep bringing it up in your articles? If you want that shit to be shut down, you just wouldn't even discuss it if you wanted it to stay down. But they talk about it because they know that new fans coming to read the articles, or just people who aren't even in the fandom, they will see that, become interested in what Larry might be, they'll look it up. And now there's more chance of there being more Larry fans now. It's a contradicting media tactic. Like, they're publicizing Larry, but at the same time, they want to make you think that it's not real based on what they say in their article. But we see through that bullshit because we've been here for years. And also, guys, if you want more proof that a lot of this is publicity, here's a few tweets. So this guy says, Kris Jenner paid me to write an article on Harry and Kendall. She said if I didn't, she would end my career just like she ended others. Like, to be honest, I didn't know Kris Jenner had that much power. Like, she's going out of her way to pay people to publicize the whole Kendall thing. That's disgusting. And then this one says, on Twitter, I'm following Steve Brookstein, who won X Factor back in 2004. He's always throwing shade at X Factor and Simon, but earlier today he said something so good about it. Secrets equal control. Lose the secrets and they lose control. His tweet says, just had my first contact with a contestant from last year's X Factor. Lied to, manipulated, and contracted not to speak about it. And then he says, I can imagine. Secrets equal control. Lose the secrets and they lose control. So the fact that he was on X Factor and he had to deal with Simon and and he still throws shade at him. Like, he knows this stuff. But that's so true. Having these secrets keep them in control. And lastly, the Rainbow Bondage Bear account says things are about to get exciting. They haven't posted in a while, but I kind of laughed when I saw this tweet because this whole fandom is already exciting in a bad way. I really do not need any more excitement in this fandom. If it's good excitement, then okay, I'm ready. I mean, it's about time. I mean, they could just be bullshitting us too. I'm done getting my hopes up in this fandom though. I'm kind of just here for the ride now. Like, okay, next episode, next season, is this a soap opera? And as I've said before, the writers of this soap opera are shit. We need new writers. Like always, I make a video whenever I want, so like and subscribe. All my social media is down in the description, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Nobody can drag me down.